You could argue that Peugeot is a brand on a roll. Cars like the 408, the updated 208 and the revised 308 show that this is a car company that is pushing forward both in terms of design and in-car technology as well. Now this car, the new e-3008, is core to the brand's future, and it's a key part of how it's going to be electrified by 2030. Now, this car isn't going on a sale in the UK until February, but we've been given a sneak peek to check out the ins and the outs and some of its cool new features that you might be able to see when it hits dealerships early on next year. So without further ado, we're going to go and have a little look around this car to see just what this latest e-3008 looks like in terms of design. So a lot of Peugeot's recent models have been typified by their very bold front-end design. It's the same with the e-3008. We've got this latest interpretation of the claw LED lights, this cool effect grille at the front, and of course we've got Peugeot's brand new badging on the nose with that shield design. Moving along the side, this entire car is based on a brand new platform. It's the STLA medium platform, which means that it's been designed first and foremost as an electric vehicle rather than adapted and then changed afterwards. So the batteries are actually located really low down in the car, and as a result that brings the centre of gravity down, and it also means there's more space inside. But on the outside we've got some really cool features, like the fact that the weather guarding down the side is integrated behind the metal sheetings to give it that kind of frameless, smooth look. And then at the back we've got a compact spoiler which is similar to that on the 408, and it meets all these square angular edges. I think it looks excellent in person. It looks actually quite a large car compared to the previous generation 3008. It is actually slightly longer and slightly wider, but it's not too dissimilar in size. It just feels bigger. Overall, it's got quite a lot of presence, and I think in this blue colour it's going to stand out even better on the road than some of Peugeot's latest models. With the inside of the e-3008, Peugeot is aimed to blend that high level of technology that we've come to expect in new cars with some easy to use functions, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Up front we've got this amazing 21-inch curved display which combines both your driver's display and your main media function. Now this is going to be standard on all trim levels of the e-3008 as well, so it's not just going to be those top-notch variants. But down here we've got a new interpretation of the i-toggle switches, so these ones can be customized to have whichever shortcuts you want easily accessible right here through this display, and you can scroll through them and then you can add whichever one you want. So you can have your media, your climate, your navigation, quick to hand, and then again you've got your settings, so you don't have to go in through the main screen, you've just got them right there. Importantly as well, you can turn off your adaptive driving systems too easily rather than having to delve through the screens. And it's the same kind of feel with the new steering wheel. We've still got this very small steering wheel, which I'm still a little bit on the fence with in current Peugeot models. But importantly, we've got steering wheel buttons, which rather than being touch sensitive, and that's often a bit of a niggling point with a lot of new cars, these ones are more like traditional buttons, and they're nice and large, so you're not going to miss them when you're on the move. We've also got some nice toggle switches down here, and these are physical ones on one single rocker. So again, they're very easy to use and everything feels like it's going to be simple to navigate when you're on the move. It's all very well saying that it's easy to get through the screen when you're sitting still, but when you just want to change the radio or you want to change your sat-nav location, you want to be able to do it while you're moving. There's also loads of storage in here too. We've got a big compartment down there, which is very deep and has 2 USB-C charging points, and there's a second split style one in the middle here. Again, that's all coming through this electric focused powertrain and chassis setup, which gives you more room and more space. I will also say that you sit up nice and high in this car, but the bonnet line isn't too high either, so you've got a nice view ahead of you. I also like the fact you've got this cloth trim here, which just gives it a slightly warmer effect than just having lots of black plastic everywhere. In terms of material quality, well, it's very good. We've got some nice brushed style elements up here. Of course, we've got plenty of screens. Lower down, there are some scratchy plastics, but that is kind of to be expected. Peugeot isn't releasing an official price for this car, but I think you could probably estimate in something of the region of the mid-40s for this electric version, probably slightly less for the hybrids and the plug-in hybrids. You can have all the technology you want in an SUV, but if it's not spacious, then it's not really worth very much to anyone. But the good news is that inside the 3008, there's plenty of room. We've got a nice flat floor, which comes from that electric first powertrain underneath and the setup of the chassis and the placement of the batteries, which means that, yeah, there's more room down there than there would be in like a conventional SUV with a big transmission tunnel running through the middle. We've got some nice seat back pockets ahead of us, and the seat in the middle is nice and flat too, so you could actually sit 3 abreast here quite comfortably. Headroom, despite that raked roofline, is pretty decent too. I'm 5'11" and I've got plenty of headroom and more than enough space up there to sit back and relax. The one thing I would say is that the door aperture isn't very large and you can't get the doors open all too far. So if you are loading a child seat in and out, because there are Isofix points at either side, then that might be a little bit of a tricky task. Elsewhere, we've got some slightly scratchy plastics. These ones on the seat backs, I just wish they wouldn't put plastic there on seat backs, because when kids sit here and inevitably their feet swing up, they're going to go right onto that and scratch it up, which just seems a bit of a shame. It's more hard wearing, but I think over time it's not going to look as good. But elsewhere, the material quality is nice, and these seats themselves, even though they're quite flat and not too heavily bolstered, are comfortable. So I'd say in terms of the general space requirements for an SUV like the e-3008, it does very well. The previous generation 3008 did really well in terms of boot space, and it's nice to see that that is unaltered for this new version. In fact, there's the same 520 litres in the back of the new e-3008 as you would have found in the old 3008. So again, that's because of the setup of the batteries underneath. We've still got plenty of boot room, and the lip isn't too high, it's nice and level, and so loading heavier items in here isn't going to be proving too tricky. You've also got a large section underneath, which is absolutely massive. Now I presume at some point you could put a spare wheel there, but overall it's a nice sized load area, and on this one we've got an electric boot too, which makes things even easier. The previous generation 3008 was one of Peugeot's most popular models, and going off these initial impressions, I can only see this latest e-3008 eclipsing that popularity. It's got the space inside that families require, and it's got some of the latest tech, which I think is really exciting, and most importantly, it is available on all models, not just those tip-top ones. This electric version, I think, is going to go down a storm, particularly with those buyers who want plenty of range but plenty of space inside. But of course, there is that background of the hybrid and plug-in hybrid powertrains for those who don't feel ready to make the full jump to electric vehicles just yet. The proof, of course, is in the driving, but up until that point, first impressions look really good of the new Peugeot e-3008. Thank you for watching this first look at the Peugeot e-3008 for Motors.co.uk. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave us a like below and let us know in the comment section what you think of this car. Do you think you might consider it as your next EV? And since you're here, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel, and if you hit that bell icon, you'll get a notification each time we upload a new video.